Hi, everybody. I regret that I can't give my presentation today in Spanish for you all, but my grade school Spanish wouldn't quite help me out there. It probably would only find my way to the biblioteca or something. So today I'm going to have to speak to you in English. I came here from San Francisco yesterday. Before that, I lived in Atlanta, where I worked for Coca-Cola for the past 7 years. My role at Coca-Cola, as you can see, was a global operations lead. I manage most of the social properties at Coke. So, you know, Coke is a large company. I can show you on the next slide here. We have over 700,000 associates at Coca-Cola. And you can see, actually, the Facebook likes, we're now close to 100 million. And we're in 200 countries. Actually, I think the only 2 countries where we don't exist right now are Cuba and North Korea. And we're actually working to be in Cuba soon. So soon there might only be 1 country that's missing us. But what that does is when you're a company this large, you really have a lot of scale issues. So my role was primarily to take the many social platforms that we have and leverage them in a way to bring value to the marketing organization. You know, back when I started in 2010, social marketing had a very different landscape. It was leadership was less comfortable with it. You know, traditional marketing was more popular, TV, print, out of home. But at the same time, we were still getting tons and tons of reach and impressions on these social platforms. I mean, one post to Facebook in 2010, when our page only had like 12 million followers, would routinely get 5 to 10 million organic views. So, you know, that's amazing that it took a lot of brands that maybe weren't as innovative as Coca-Cola so long to realize that social marketing really had a lot of presence. Because in marketing, especially brand marketing, reach and frequency is really your bread and butter. So, you know, back then, this is a good story to show how things have changed. One of my things that I had to work on was geo-targeting all of our posts because, you know, we're a global organization. We speak many languages, and everyone wants to see their own language and their own local market's content within their feed. In this particular instance, we missed our geo-targeting, and we had a Brazilian post go global. And it led to tons and tons of negative comments online. Of course, dumb Americans like me saying, I hate seeing all this Spanish in my feed, when really it was Portuguese because it was in Brazil. But at the same time, you know, we had Ad Age articles written about it, and it took 5 minutes that post was up, maybe 10 minutes. I was at lunch, I got all these phone calls, my email inbox was blowing up saying, you got to take this down, you got to take this down. So it was a big headache for me. But at the same time, I look at that a little fondly because, you know, we're obviously not there today. Those of you who run social marketing campaigns, probably, even if your brand is close to the size of Coke, you realize you're not getting that type of organic view rates today. Content marketing is just getting a lot tougher. And the reason why is because more people are doing it. As you can see, you know, between 2013 and 2014, the amount of content that brands created rose by 78%. And that's because more and more brands realized, hey, this was effective. This was a good way to bring about, you know, visibility in your brand and your products. At the same time, you know, Facebook changed its algorithm, and lots of other platforms are doing the same. And the reason why is because they don't want their fans to be just saturated by branded content. It's okay to have a little branded content in your feed, but you need to be able to you know, see what your friends are saying as well. So they changed their algorithm, they decreased what brand content is showing to fans, and that's really changing the way we have to work in social marketing to get our content in front of the right people. There's still a lot of positivity, you know. You haven't missed the bus if you aren't doing social marketing right now. It is one of the best ways to influence brand purchase decisions, influence purchase intent, if you get your content in front of the right people. Obviously, you know, you have things such as user-generated content that really drive a lot of the conversation. So even if you aren't creating content, people are still talking about your brands online. For instance, Coca-Cola is mentioned on Twitter 35 times a minute. So, or no, actually, I think that's 35 times a second, organically. So because of that, I can't remember if it's minute or second. Sorry, I had a slide about it, but I took that slide out. I should have left it in so I'd remember these things. But you can see that whether or not you're on the platform, people are talking about your brands. So it's important to be there with them and to join the discussion in a positive way. So why do we bother with social? Some amazing stats that I've got, and they're in the notes. I've got the sources, but 28% of all of our time spent online, especially on mobile right now, is on social platforms. That's, for most people, that's 1.7 hours a day on some type of social platform on our mobile device, checking in somewhere. That also includes usually SMS-type apps. So, whether or not you see social as valuable in terms of you're not getting organic reach, there's a lot of reach to be had. So there's, Facebook, these are monthly active users, 1.65 billion monthly active users. That's just a huge number. I mean, that dwarfs most television program, or most, even things like the World Cup or Super Bowl. So, lots of organizations, especially B2B. I don't know if many of you guys are B2B out here today, but they kind of forget about social because they say, what's more effective for me are email or display, because display has better targeting options right now, especially in programmatic, and they don't follow up with social, or they only do it on LinkedIn. But I'm going to show you a few ways here a little later in the presentation of how you can use targeting to use social to be effective, just like in display and in email. So another great thing about social marketing is it is an effective way to bridge different campaigns. A lot of more traditional brands, and to an extent Coca-Cola several years ago, were having trouble because all of their campaigns really started from zero. And campaign marketing has just been shown in the past to be an effective way of reaching and engaging your fans and getting them to increase their purchase intent for your products. But what social allows us to do is tie these campaigns together. Instead of starting every campaign from a blank slate, you're actually bridging the gaps between these campaigns because you're continuing a conversation in a social place. You also show that social allows you to, social doesn't bring direct return. It doesn't bring direct dollars. Typically, unless you're Amazon and you're selling a product directly in someone's newsfeed, you're not going to be bringing direct dollars from social. So sometimes that can be a hard sell within an organization. But at the same time, you look at what the Kardashians have figured out, which is you can increase your other returns when you bring social as part of the equation. Clearly, their presence everywhere, their ubiquity, is allowing them to make a ton of money with partnerships, with sponsorships, all of these things that brands can do as well if they have this fan following, if they have this conversation and this positivity online. So that's really how social can bridge your campaigns that are maybe partnerships with other organizations, partnerships with TV and other things, and actually make them more valuable to you as a brand because you have that social aspect behind it and you have that fan following. At Coca-Cola, I like to share this because it's a really good marketing strategy that we use. And this is how we try and measure our investment. And it can be applied in a variety of ways. But it really tries to get us to step out of just typical marketing measures or typical marketing strategies that have been used time and time again. And it encourages us to try new platforms and to try new strategies, even if they haven't been shown through case studies or through data to be effective or to be known yet. So really a good way to look at it is like TV or some traditional marketing out of home, print. It's been tried, it's been proven. We have plenty of metrics to show how it works, how much we can expect it to affect us. So that's your known and measurable. At the same time, the 20% is unknown but measurable. So these are things that we can measure, but we don't know how effective it's going to be. These are the platforms that have, you have great analytics. You can tell what standard KPIs, such as how many impressions you get, how much reach you get. But you don't actually know from past experience if there'll be an effective use of advertising dollars. And then the last one are things Snapchat's been around for a while, but it used to be my go-to example because They don't have great measurement, and yet they still have, we would expect, great reach. And there's other platforms like that too, like a lot of the messaging apps like Line and WhatsApp. Tons of people use them. We want to be on them. We want to be communicating with our fans on them, but we really don't have the measurement capabilities to see how effective they're going to be for us. I don't know if you can see this that well. Sorry, I should have darkened the background a little bit. But if you think about this, it really is a great way to show that you need to love your data analyst and have a good one on your team, or at least be a good one yourself, because just Facebook and Twitter have 1,600 metrics. These are like likes over time, page views over time, page views in this market, page views in this demographic. All of these things can be analyzed in different ways to really say how well your content is performing. And at the same time, I like to say that if your agencies are running your campaigns, no one likes to call their baby ugly. So because of this much data that's available, every agency can say that their campaign did amazing, because there's always some metric out there that says we were the best. We got the very best, likes in 13 to 24-year-old single mothers, or something crazy that would make their campaign seem like it was the best thing ever. So really put someone on your team who knows how to dig into this data, and you also need the cognitive power tools. And I gave a few examples up here, but we use many software as a service tools at Coke. Sprinkler, Domo, and LiveRamp are a few of them. And we use them to process all of that data together so we can have comparable analysis. Like I said, we have over 200 markets sharing the Coca-Cola page, but we also have many other Coca-Cola campaign pages, Coca-Cola brand pages. There's 3,500 brands. So because of that, we need to be able to analyze all of the data that's coming in for each of those pages, each of those assets on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and not just the pages, but the content that they post themselves. In 2015, we posted over 100,000 pieces of content. So because of that, you can see the metrics just get incredibly huge when you start to exponentially scale like that. I mean, every piece of content posted has its own pieces of data that goes along with it. So one way you can really increase the reach that has fallen, like I mentioned earlier, in terms of Facebook especially, but other platforms as well, is you can use paid media. And we've done some analysis on reach at Coca-Cola with our data and insights team that shows that there's a specific amount of noise that every fan can get. And once you get above that, it's going to be difficult to get on their news feed. And at the same time, new fans will only see your organic content for about 3 months after they become a fan of your page. That's unless they continue engaging with you, continue liking your content, sharing your content. If they don't, and they're an old fan, they're not going to see your content any longer. So paid media can really help overcome that noise. Just like in this room right now, I'm talking, and not many other people are, so you hear me. If everyone were talking, and you were all trying to sell a product or show your new branded content or just share like a message from somebody's birthday, you wouldn't be able to get much of it. So that's really why we look at trying to engage with the right level of fan, and then we use paid media to amplify that. And when using paid media, targeting is important. I don't know if you guys have seen, this is my example of a bad ad. Hopefully you guys, I try and use one that no one in the conference probably took part in because I don't want to be insulting anybody. But these types of ads, and you realize you get them when you probably see them most often when you're on a device in incognito mode, or you are not sharing anything, like maybe you've cleared your cache recently. And what's happening here is they don't know anything about you using that device. So your cookies aren't there. They may not have your IP location. So they're feeding you I would say, bottom of the barrel ads. These are ads that don't know who you are. So they have no targeting associated with them. They are mass marketing. They are sent to everyone, even if you don't need a mortgage, even if you don't resonate with this old man's photo here, like I don't know, but even if you don't, well, they might have language targeting. That's probably about the only targeting this ad does. But what we can do are some amazing things with targeting, and I'm going to talk a little bit now in this presentation about how targeting and AI can really come together. And it might be a little creepy for some of you guys, but the overall goal is not to creep people out, not to get improper information about people. It's to improve our ad targeting so every ad is valuable to you. We don't want to give ads to people when we don't influence purchase intent. We want to influence purchase intent with every ad, and you do that by either making the person enjoy the ad, enjoy the brand, or giving them content that they want to receive. And one way to do this is personalization. Obviously, you need to know a little bit about a person before you can personalize your ad, but these are some of the most effective ways we've done it. I mean, the Share a Coke ad, this started in Australia, and it was so effective, they changed the bottles with different names, that it's just a real-world example of personalization. You can see a real-world example of personalization happening just on these cans and bottles. And it was started in Australia, and we actually brought it worldwide because it was so effective. At the same time, this remarketing that Amazon is doing is an automated way of knowing that you looked at content like this, like I was looking at headphones, and then later showing me the same content or similar content in my newsfeed. Now, you can argue the value about that, but really it does have some sort of value to consumers. It's possible that you see a new product that you were not considering, and you look at it and consider it. At the same time, things like this ad here that we did for Eat Club, which is a local catering service, we targeted that ad for a specific street where BuzzFeed's office was and targeted it only at BuzzFeed employees. So the office that had a few thousand BuzzFeed employees saw this ad that encouraged them to purchase catering out of a new company that was nearby. So in that way, we're actually providing value because we're looking for people who might want our products as opposed to giving them that same mortgage-type ad that really doesn't have any value to anyone. And there's two great ways to do targeting. For large B2C type organizations, there's category targeting on social media. This is your audience is unknown in this instance. So I might say I want to reach all people who like Justin Bieber. I don't know who those people are, but my ad will still be shown to those type of people. And you can scale this really well, and that's one of the great things about it for B2C organizations like Coca-Cola. In this instance, we used a company called Evocalize, and they actually created over 100 different ad campaigns, each targeted at unique people, and every piece of ad content was unique. It each had a separate Coca-Cola artist on it, Coca-Cola artist name, and separate ad copy. And because of that, we were able to target each individual with an artist that we knew they liked and get a much greater response to the ad. I think it was 4 times greater engagement than our typical ads receive on Facebook. The other option is individual targeting, which is more B2B focused. This is where you know who the individuals are. Most platforms provide this right now in terms of social. Google AdWords does, so you've got display, you've got search, you've got Facebook. Twitter also provides, it's called custom audiences. LinkedIn, I don't think has it right now, but it might be something they're building in. Really what it allows you to do is provide a list of identifying information. In this case, you can use emails. And it matches those individuals on the platform and allows you to serve ads to them. And the great thing about this is you can really do omni-channel marketing, which is providing the same individual with a similar message across channels. You can hit them on Facebook, hit them on Twitter, email them if you do an email campaign, and all of that allows you to do nurture marketing as well. You can reach them in a few places with top-of-funnel things. You can say, give them offers, try and get them to engage. And once they do engage, you can change your offer. You can either call them or email them, because they've engaged, they've shown interest. You can provide different types of content, all because you know who they are. So that's one of the advantages of this type of marketing, as opposed to the category marketing that is most available and scales really well. But the problem is, targeting individuals is really hard for a variety of reasons. One is if you have CRM data, customer relationship data, especially in B2B, you probably have their work emails. And people don't usually sign up for Facebook or Twitter or anywhere else with their work email. So you only get between 4 to 10% matches. The other things are, you may not know who these people are you want to target. You might want new prospects. You might want to reach new people who you've never heard of and don't know about your product, but you want to get information about them so that you can then serve them the right content that would get them engaged. Well, the way that we do that is artificial intelligence. And that's really where I've been working for the past few months. I've been splitting my time between doing work for Coca-Cola on programmatic marketing and working at an AI startup called MARIANA in San Francisco. So what we've really been doing is we've been finding the unique identifiers. So there's silos. Big data, as we discussed earlier, is available about everyone. A lot of it's public, a lot of it's private, some of it's proprietary, you can purchase it, but it's all siloed. Everyone has their own Facebook page, their own LinkedIn profile, their own emails from past and future events. There's meetup data. If you've ever been to a conference like this, your data is probably available somewhere, but it's not all tied together. So what artificial intelligence can do is it can really help us find a unique identifier and tie every person together, or every unique person together, and then allow you to make matches that can serve marketing. And that's one of the main things we're using it for, but we're actually looking at other options as well. You can use this to find criminals, because it can, through artificial intelligence, you can find people who share the same characteristics, share the same followers in Twitter as previous criminals, and then help law enforcement to track them down. Because even if they're using aliases, they might share some of the same characteristics that artificial intelligence could determine that a regular human wouldn't be able to. Because there's just so much data out there, we can't digest it all manually. One thing that I like to say is that we're in a great spot for artificial intelligence. As I discussed earlier with content marketing, there was that time in 2010 where leadership didn't really know how effective it was going to be, and they were a little hesitant to jump on because we were in maybe that 20% range where we could measure it, but we didn't know how it would affect our brand and how it would affect our products and how it would affect the revenue dollars. And maybe AI tech is in that spot right now, where we can show that it works. We can show what it's used for and how it's useful. But we don't have a lot of people using it in their marketing stacks, or their having products that allow AI to be integrated into their social marketing, their display marketing, or even their traditional marketing. You can even do individual targeting on some of the new IPTV platforms, like the Comcast are rolling out, or I don't know what service you guys have here. But when you have that IPTV, they know who your individual are, or at least who your family is. They can provide ads that are targeted to you as well. My last slide here, I just want to talk about, AI has reached a maturity level now where, it's not just academic anymore. For the longest time, it was a lot of, we know we can do these things, but we haven't been able to do them well enough or fast enough for a marketing application. Nowadays, computer technology in terms of processing power has scaled up, as well as have some new capabilities like deep learning strategies that are new algorithms for artificial intelligence that speed up the process. And it really allows us to do some amazing things, both in the B2C realm, when we're talking about customers like the My Coke Rewards program, as well as B2B, where you might want to know your individuals so you can categorize them as leads or prospects and correctly nurture them to purchase of your product. So that was all I had for today, but I hope I was able to give you guys a good background of both Coca-Cola's marketing platform and also some of the future of what I think that AI can do for marketing in general.
Thank you very much, Wes.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure.